Thank you very much, Nancy, and good morning, everyone. And welcome back to San Antonio. I know many of you were here in 2007 when the seminar on Exposition was held here. And maybe some of you were here the first time in 2004. So welcome back. And you may be wondering where the mayor of San Antonio is and why he isn't here to give you the keys to the city. Well, he was scheduled to be here, but had last-minute change in plans, and so you get me instead. But I will tell you what the mayor probably would have said. He would have said, since 2007, San Antonio has become the greenest city in Central Texas, and probably even Texas. If you're familiar with Texas, you're probably wondering, hey, I thought Austin was the greenest city. Well, not so. But you don't have to take my word for it. I have a posting from the internet from just 10 days ago, and I'll give you the site, so get out your iPads and your iPhones. It's http://powersmack.org. So PowerSmack is a forum on energy and politics in Austin, Texas. And this article says, Austin versus San Antonio Green Power Smackdown. So it begins, I'm going to read just a little bit if I could. In 2007, Austin City Council boldly adopted a climate protection plan directive to make Austin Energy the leading utility in the nation for greenhouse gas reductions through aggressive leadership in efficiency and renewable energy. But now, 3 years later, Austin is no longer the environmental leader in Central Texas. San Antonio now leads on solar, wind, coal renewables, and demand reduction from their 2009 energy efficiency programs. Austin still retains a big lead in cumulative impact because of a 30-year leadership and efficiency efforts. So the numbers. On solar, Austin has 5.1 megawatts installed, and San Antonio has 8 megawatts installed. On wind power, Austin has 439 megawatts, and San Antonio has 859 megawatts. So total renewables for Austin is 452, and San Antonio is 884. That's 96% more than Austin. Of course, we are bigger than Austin, but even if you adjust the numbers for customers and energy uses, San Antonio is still ahead. And in addition, San Antonio has power purchase agreements for 2 additional projects. The Blue Wing Road project has 14 megawatts, will come online before the end of the year. And San Antonio just contracted with Sun Edison for 30 additional megawatts of solar power. However, San Antonio has no utility scale fuel cell power production. Maybe next time you come back to San Antonio, the situation will be different. I want to point out just one more thing, and that's the budget that the city has for conservation. So for Austin, the city budget is $25 million per year. This year, for San Antonio, it's $40 million. Next year, it's $28 million for Austin. For San Antonio, it's $55 million per year. There's no budget for Austin in 2012. San Antonio has budgeted $70 million that year for conservation programs. And even our water utility, San Antonio Water Systems, has gotten into the act. If you saw this morning's paper on the front page, there's an article about a methane recovery project that is going to be recovering methane at the Dos Rios water treatment plant. So instead of burning the methane, they'll be selling it in the open market and saving 20,000 tons of CO2 a year. In addition, SAWS is also selling the recycled water and the solid waste. So, if your company was thinking of locating in Texas or relocating facilities in Texas, San Antonio is the place to come. That's what Mayor Castro would have said. So it merits serious consideration. Mayor Castro would also have said, enjoy the seminar and exposition and the warm San Antonio hospitality, and please come back again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was also asked to thank Mr. De La Varga for making 2010 such a fantastic year for hydrogen here in the San Antonio area.
I'm Mark Williams. I'm the Vice President of the Fuel Cell Seminar Board of Directors, and I'm also Chairman of the Awards Committee for the Technical Program Committee. It's really nice and appropriate that the fuel cell technology is in a green city, green San Antonio. I'd like to thank Mr. De La Garza for his remarks. I'd also like to thank Nancy Garland and Shailesh. Could we have a round of applause? It takes a lot of work to put on this meeting. And I'd like to thank Shannon and all the people from the South Carolina Hydrogen Fuel Cell Association for all the effort they've put forward here. We'd like to make the announcements for the 2010 Fuel Cell Seminar Award. As Nancy mentioned, each year we give 2 awards, and therefore individuals have distinguished themselves in their contributions in the fuel cell community. And this year's winners are Mark Debbie and Rich Carlin. Dr. Debbie has carried out R&D on PEM catalysts and membrane electrode assemblies at 3M for many years and is well known in the community. He's made significant progress to PEM fuel cells. 3M has demonstrated a 400 square centimeter OEM short stack with a loading of 0.19 grams of platinum per kilowatt. That beats the DOE 2010 targets and the 2015 targets, so it's quite an accomplishment. His MEAs have shown 1 to 2 orders of magnitude corrosion resistance over traditional platinum catalysts. And he's extended the lifetime of the PEM MEA by a factor of 15. He's twice won the DOE Fuel Cell Technologies R&D Award for his spectacular research achievements in the PEM catalyst development area. He's twice received the 3M's Corporate Circle Techno Excellence Award. He holds 48 patents, and over 30 more are pending based on considerations. These include patents in optical recording, thermal imaging, fuel cells, electronic displays, hydrogen storage, gas sensors. He's collaborating with many OEMs around the world to put these excellent stacks in automobiles. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Mark Debbie.
Thank you, Mark, for that kind introduction. And to begin, I want to thank, in particular, the Fuel Cell Exposition Technical Program Committee for this recognition. And this award really is due to a lot of hard work from my wonderful colleagues back at 3M, and I'm going to be privileged to share with you their names at the end of my remarks. Of course, none of this work would have come to its fruition if it had not been for the years of continual support from the Fuel Cell Technologies Program at the Department of Energy. We're very grateful to them. And of course, our customers, without whom we would not be able to garner the support to 3M corporate. So we're very grateful to them for that and for all the stuff they've taught us. And for me personally, saving the best for last, I want to acknowledge my family, and in particular my lovely wife Jan, whose extreme tolerance and support of these many 60-hour work weeks and missed weekends for many years is greatly appreciated. Now I'm going to talk about give you a thumbnail sketch anyway, of the nanostructured thin film catalyst that we've been developing for the last 15 years, beginning in 1982. Now that discrepancy in years there and the significance of 1995 and 1982 will become clear later. But the Key message here is that we think we've developed an alternative path forward for developing electrocatalysts for PEM fuel cells for the very stringent requirements for future fuel cell vehicles. Now at 3M, our primary focus has been on MEA manufacturing and sales to our customers in various stationary and motive applications. Since about 2000, we've been making membrane electrode assemblies using our own membrane materials and our own gas diffusion layers, but using also dispersed conventional catalysts. And our program director, Eric Funkenbush, and our commercialization manager, Pinar Sarim, are here, and they can tell you about that wonderful story. But our nanostructured thin film catalysts have been focused from the beginning on the transportation. And we think we have three key strengths at 3M. First is in materials and process for making these critical materials that go into an MEA, the catalysts, and that's an indication of the nanostructured thin film catalysts, our membranes, and our gas diffusion media. And key, of course, are the processes to make these by high volume production methods. And that leads into our manufacturing strength, which incorporates so many of 3M's core technologies. They have been absolutely key to enabling us to demonstrate the ability to take these materials with the potential to make them at the high volumes that will be required. So logical questions you might have: what did we do to warrant this recognition in the first place? And what are nanostructured thin films anyway? And how might they have helped fuel cell development? Well, I'll try to answer that and focus this talk then on specifically electrocatalysts for PEM fuel cells, which arguably is the most cost and performance sensitive component of a PEM fuel cell. There are three basic types of electrocatalysts. First are, of course, platinum blacks, which have been around for decades and the original things used. Secondly are platinum nanoparticles, or alloy nanoparticles, that are supported on dispersed carbons, and of course, which are absolutely the generic standard everywhere in the world right now. But there's a third type, which we call extended surface area catalysts, and for which NSTF catalysts are the first practical example, and we believe this is the next generation. So I'll cover that in the rest of my talk, and then conclude with about 3 minutes of history from '82 to 2000 on how these materials were discovered in the first place. So what is a nanostructured thin film? Well, a complex definition is written at the top there. It's an oriented array of organic nanoscopic crystalline whiskers that are coated at high number densities or high numbers per unit area on a microstructured substrate. And the SEM micrograph shows a plan view on the bottom and a cross section on the top. And those little fibril whisker looking things are single crystals of that organic compound that's shown there. Now, we coat those with catalysts, and I'll get into that in the next slide, but just to give you a sense, here's a cartoon for giving you an appreciation of how many whiskers there are. Imagine a 50 square kilometer field of wheat, new wheat, so that they're 4 inches tall, 2 inches apart, 12,000 acres. Now imagine that you shrunk that down by a factor of 100,000 in all three dimensions so that that area would fit into a 50 square centimeter active area of an MEA, and the blades of wheat would be 1 micron tall. You'd then have 1 nanostructured whisker for each blade of wheat, or about 4 billion whiskers per square centimeter. We coat those whiskers then with catalyst, and it completely surrounds the parylene core, this compound crystalline whisker core, with the polycrystalline catalyst film. And we use sputtering, which is a very flexible and high volume compatible process for applying the catalyst. You'll also notice, of course, that we apply these to a microstructured substrate, which is based on 3M core technology as well, for 2 reasons. One, it enables us to do the roll-to-roll processing, and secondly, it gives us another 40% increase in surface area. We then take those catalysts and apply them to both sides of a roll-good membrane to make a composite membrane electrode assembly. And you can see by the expanded image on the left that the whiskers are penetrating into the membrane. Actually, how much they penetrate depends on the loadings, and for example, for the lower loading materials that we use for automotive, it's actually a very thin layer indeed.